but it wasn't enough. It couldn't break that wall of his own internal imposter syndrome. So when that happened, that was an opportunity for a transformation to be like, well, here you are. This patient that complained about you is literally your own internal voice, your own internal imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. Have you been plagued with it? I sure have. And I've worked with a lot of clients that have also had to deal with it. Today, I'm going to use the mirror method to help you break through any of your imposter syndrome pain points. I had this one client who had pretty strong imposter syndrome, just didn't really believe in himself, thought that, he was a fraud, he was a fake, other people are better, why would people go to him for his services and his professional expertise. And just to give you a heads up, he's in dentistry and he just didn't feel like he was that good. So we started processing, like, where did this come from? What's going on with this? And he just couldn't get past it until he had his first and only boards complaint. He had a patient complain to the boards, and the complaint was that I laugh because it's so obvious. I shouldn't laugh because this person was in distress. The complaint was, this dentist is misrepresenting themselves as a doctor.
Do you mind if I take a look? I'm actually a doctor.
Yeah, you said that several times last night, but really you're just a dentist.
The boards just asked that, that their advertising just clearly expressed that they're in dental work, so future patients don't get confused. It was a closed case. They never took it serious. Nobody in the boards took it seriously. Nobody did. But that really, really honed in on my client's imposter syndrome, because he didn't feel like he was good enough. He didn't feel like he was adding value. He didn't feel like he deserved his title, even though he worked very hard for all of his schooling and his education and his practicum, and he has rave reviews from multiple patients, but it wasn't enough. It couldn't break that wall of his own internal imposter syndrome. So when that happened, that was an opportunity for a transformation to be like, well, here you are. This patient that complained about you is literally your own internal voice, your own internal imposter syndrome. And how, let's process this. How did this patient make you feel? And he said, actually, from day one, from the first outreach, from the first initial consult, from the treatment, my client felt uncomfortable with this patient, felt so uncomfortable with this patient, wanted to just discharge this patient as fast as possible. He got this feeling like this was going to be a problematic patient. They walked in with a lot of complaints or scrutiny, and he just felt really uncomfortable with this patient. And so he discharged the patient. The patient felt hurt, and we talked about there might have been some personality disorder issues going on there. They felt rejected or abandoned. Things came up to just understand what was going on with that person, with his patient, but more so how specific this was and how ridiculous the complaint was. They couldn't even complain about the treatment. They couldn't complain about anything else. They complained about a title. And so we had to really process, like, why is he inviting this experience in his life, and where did this come from? And that's where we really honed in on the imposter syndrome, that he didn't fully believe in himself. And that's what the personification of that internal dialogue and that internal feeling look like. And once he was able to really process that, okay, I was so hung up on not being good enough, and that's where imposter syndrome originates from, is feeling not good enough, that he was so hung up on not being good enough and wanting to be a super achiever and do more and do better, that he invited an experience in his life to see what that internal dialogue looks like, how he feels not good enough, and how he thinks about himself of being an imposter, how that showed up in his professional life to help him wake up from that hypnotic fog or that delusion about himself, and how ridiculous it was. His own internal dialogue was so ridiculous that it showed up so ridiculous as a board's complaint, to be misrepresented as a doctor when he's a dentist. Like, Like, who does that? You know, it's so nuanced and so specific that it was a direct reflection or projection of his own inner thoughts and feelings. And once he broke through that, then his business started booming and he never got any more complaints. In fact, he got a lot of positive feedback afterwards because he finally believed in himself and he finally believed that he was enough, and he came face to face with his own inner bully, and he was done with it, and he was done with holding on to the mindset of imposter syndrome about himself, and it freed him to just go deeper into his craft and become more of an expert in the things that he loves to do in his professional life. I hope this helped you to identify imposter syndrome in your life and maybe some nuanced relationship experiences that have come up for you, whether in the workplace or in your personal life, that may have reflected your inner dialogue, your inner bully, and how this mirror method may help you overcome that. All right, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section. Thank you. I'll catch you in the next video. May peace be with you.